Welcome back. It's weekly rotation time. I'm going to do a mini review to start off this video, and then I'll talk about what I wore for the rest of the week. But today I actually finished a sample I got a year ago, basically. I've kind of worn it over the year. And it is Methexis from MANOS GERAKINIS. They're a small brand out of Greece. I got introduced to them at Aix last year, and this year visited the stand again, got some new samples. But this was the first one that I wanted to test, and it's like, it's taken me a year to get through it. But I've spoken about this on a few occasions in my weekly rotation, and I figured I'd do a mini review since I feel like I know it well enough now. I generally don't like gourmand style perfumes, and this is squarely where this perfume sits, and it's mainly to do with the chocolate / cocoa accord along with dried fruits, and in this case a beautiful fruity creamy fig note, and for some reason that very smooth dark chocolate note and the fruit with that fig standing out really works amazingly well on my skin anyway. And it was just a complete pleasure to wear this every time it's time in the rotation. And I'm actually thinking about getting a bottle. I'll see how I go when the weather starts to cool down here in Melbourne, and we're in the depths of winter, how much I miss it. I like to kind of wait a little bit for some perfumes if I continually think about it. I mean, like I said, I'm not a gourmand fan, but this definitely has me thinking about getting a bottle of it for sure, and also now looking forward to testing out all my other samples I have from the brand. And just to continue on describing what this smells like on my skin, you definitely get that lovely combination of the cocoa, the fruit. It's a little bit like, it reminds me of, I know, a quite popular thing to do is to dip fruit into chocolate and put it in the fridge, and you have that lovely combination of the sweet tartness of fruit with that smooth, slightly bitter, rounded flavor of the dark chocolate, and that's kind of the impression I get here. Like I said, the fig is more on the creamy, fruity side rather than the woody, leafy side, and I really appreciate that about that. And then essentially it transitions. Well, it doesn't really transition, but you can tell there's almost like a little floral aspect about it that ties the top notes, which is the chocolate and fruit, with the base, which is a very traditional vanilla benzoin kind of amber base that it's all sitting on. So you really get amber, gourmand, and even the slightest touch of kind of sweet, creamy floral, I want to say. Like, it almost gives me the impression of something like a frangipani, or even a honeysuckle, that kind of floral note. And it's very light and wispy. I don't think it's even listed as a note in the pyramid, but that's the impression it gives me. So it's a really well-made gourmand perfume. And what I really appreciate about it is, I know that some gourmands just throw too much into the mix. Like, you just get everything except the kitchen sink in these things. I'm talking about like really big, rich dessert, diabetes-inducing gourmands. What I love most about this is that it seems simple, but simple is good in this case, because all the elements, as little as they are, as minimal as they are just done perfectly and balanced so well. So if you're a lover of gourmand, I can't recommend this perfume highly enough to make me convert really to getting a full bottle but I'm going to wait it out and see how I feel when I haven't had it for a while. All right, so that was my mini review of Methexis by MANOS GERAKINIS. Now, on to what I wore for the rest of the week. In no particular order, I realized when I was getting these bottles together for the video that I really, this week was a real iconic houses week. I have something from Chanel, something from Dior, something from Guerlain, and something from Hermes that I wore today. So we'll start with Hermes. I wore the classic spicy leather Bel Ami. Not much I can say about this. It is one of my favorite leather perfumes, like in that genre, but it's more than just a leather. I really appreciate the citruses and the spices that go with this. There's also some herbal elements. It's just a real classic 80s leather, really. From Chanel, one of my most worn perfumes ever, Egoist. Still got quite a bit there. Just on a side note, I smelled because I had a chance to be in duty-free shops recently. I smelled the Egoist that was like on the shelf, on display, the tester there, and it pretty much still smells the same as my 2015 bottle, I want to say. From Dior, my favorite, this is my favorite Privé, Au Noir, the original green-coloured one. Another thing to know, I also had an opportunity to smell several of the Dior Privés that are currently available in store, including the new Au Noir that doesn't have the green colour. It's more, I guess, a yellowy liquid colour. And look, I had smelled this before, and it just confirmed, what it confirmed to me is that it still if you smelled this a long time ago, you can smell the new one and it'll still remind you of this perfume very much so. To my nose, my impression is that the immortelle and the licorice aspects of this perfume have really been toned down in the current one. The lavender is still there, still up front, as well as that kind of spicy, dark, like there's a coffee note in there, which is still there. So the more aromatic elements of Au Noir are still there in the current version, but just the darker, more twisted elements of this version are no longer, are less noticeable in today's version. And from Guerlain, I wore Habit Rouge Privé. Okay, so it seems like I've got an interesting story to tell about all of this. I didn't know this until I was in Milan in a department store, and I was with Ryan from the True Connoisseur, who I had on my stream just recently, and he pointed out that Guerlain had released a parfum version of their vetiver, and as well as Habit Rouge, which they had there. And I can't remember what the other parfum version was, but I smelled them both on a blotter, the vetiver and the Habit Rouge. So this is just the regular Habit Rouge parfum version. I have the Eau de Toilette, and I have this Eau de Parfum Rouge Privé. To me, the parfum on that very brief impression on a blotter, I have to say, so you take this for what it is, reminded me more of this flanker than it did of my Eau de Toilette version. I felt like it had the darkness of this, maybe the leatheriness of this, but this has a distinct iris note in it, which I didn't pick up in the parfum version. So take that for what it's worth. I really did like the vetiver parfum based on what I'd smelled in store on the blotter. So they were my perfumes for the week, but the one that I wore for the whole week, each day for the whole week. And thankfully, it's been quite warm this week here in Melbourne. And it's my newest bottle, which I bought in the duty-free store. This is my first Acqua di Parma. This is Colonia Futura. And what can I say? You can just imagine very well-known perfumes in that citrus eau de cologne style, i.e. Eau Sauvage, or even stuff like Pour Monsieur from Chanel. Acqua di Parma are known for their cologne styles, their original Colonia, and then their subsequent flankers. What I like about this one is I like the traditional citruses in the opening, but this has a very nice vetiver note running through it that is kind of reminiscent of Terre de Hermes vetiver notes, and not so earthy like some other, not even as earthy as a Guerlain vetiver, to be honest. But I like that there's a bit more green woodiness running through this cologne style that Acqua di Parma do so well. I had smelled this several times before and always sort of had it in the back of my mind to buy. And I took the opportunity and took it home with me as a memento of my trip. And that, along with my mini review, it was my weekly rotation for this week. And I guess I'll see you soon for another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.